Good morning and welcome to another great edition of Money Truth Moments with Judy Kopenbarg. How are you, Judy?
I'm fantastic. How are you this morning, Carlos?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day, right? It's just weather couldn't be any better. And to top it all off, I get to start my morning with you and talk about some great wisdom that you'd like to share too with us. And
Let's
folks,
do it.
if you're just joining us for the first time, please make sure that you are following Judy at judykopenbarger.today. Follow her website. All of her social media links are there as well too. Everything that's relevant in today's world, you will find at judykopenbarger.today. So what do you say we get started? I know we got a lot of ground to cover, and I know we've got a lot of listeners and viewers wanting to know what we're going to be talking about today.
I
So
am ready. And you know what? You just said relevant, and I love that. Relevant, current, up to date. This is the stuff you need to know today. So I'm so
that's it.
excited to share.
Awesome. All right, folks. So some of you guys have submitted some questions. One of the questions that has come up is, how far in advance is it advisable to start financial planning, right? Is it ever too late to start?
No.
Simple. All right, show's over. We got it. No, let's do
No.
this.
It's like I think I've been heard to say a time or two. We're farmers. We grow fruit and vegetables and all that stuff. And it's like when is the best time to plant that big old apple tree? 20 years ago. Second best time today. Never too late to start. You can start today. And there's always something you can do. Whatever age you are, there's always some kind of planning that you could do. Absolutely.
So tell me. So let's take it a step further. So when we're talking about how far in advance we should start planning, right? I know we talked about in previous shows. You should start planning even for your kids when they're born, right?
Yep.
Even from that age.
Yeah.
So is it better to start in your 20s, 30s, 40s, etc., and why?
Well, you can always do something. And I have people, they say in their 20s, "Hey, I'm just starting out. I can barely pay the rent. I'm eating top ramen," that whole thing. And then in the 30s, "Oh, finally, we got a raise and we've got a career going, but now the kids are here." And every spare dollar goes to their soccer cleats and their diapers and all their music lessons and all that. And then you get to your 40s, it's like, phew, we finally got through all that sports and music and tuition. Oh, tuition. Now they want to go to college. Shoot,
Mhm.
or you want to help them get a house, or the grandbabies come and you want to buy their shoes. So there's always good reasons to spend the money and not really invest and save for the future. But I just propose that you think about balancing, pay yourself first. So every month you're able to get through the month. Even some months, maybe you go in debt temporarily, but if you look back, you always made it and you didn't starve forever, right? So that
Right.
means you always had enough, even though you didn't feel like it. So sometimes people feel like they're in this catch up all the time. They're spending. It's like, I've been here before. There's not enough. There's not enough. There always is. So once you change and get control of that spending plan, if part of the spending plan is pay yourself, you'll always have something for the future. And some people master this early. Some people had it modeled for them, by their parents. Other people just had to figure it out. That was me. I think my parents probably did save, but they didn't talk about it, so I don't know. But we have always been savers because there's always something that comes up that surprises you. And I
Mhm.
knew that I didn't want to always have to work. I could choose to. I love what I do, but I didn't want to have to. And I saw a lot of people that were really kind of hating their life because every day they spent their day with people they didn't really like, doing things they didn't really want to do for people that didn't care
Mhm.
about their career. So I didn't want that. But just, a perspective for you, if you're thinking, should I start? When could I start? You should start now doing something. Even if you're saving 20 bucks a month, 50 bucks a month, something, open an IRA. And, there's something that you can do. Absolutely.
So it's funny because you also mentioned, a lot of us didn't grow up with that financial wisdom and all that. I
Yeah.
mean, up until I think we started talking about all of this, I remember the last things my parents would teach us is, for every dollar you have, save the other half, right? So
Mhm.
if it's a dollar, say 50 cents. If it's 10 bucks, say $5. And that was their concept. Everything save, save, save. Never talked about diversifying, like you said, this and investments and things like that as well too. So it's come a long way, and I think reality has hit to a lot of families now, specifically with college and stuff. I cannot believe just how expensive universities have got anywhere between 40, 50, 60, $80,000 a year for one kid. Now, multiple families wanting to do that, it just makes me crazy. And like you said, if we don't plan, then what? What are we going to do? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense to plan. Never too early to start. I love it when, and I wrote a couple of books about it. What can you do with your kids? Toddlers, grade school kids. Teach them how to earn money, save money, manage money. So they're going to have some skills. They're not going to really get this at school. You might have a teacher that happens along, but it's not going to be part of a basic curriculum anywhere. How to manage money at your house, how to grow it, how to protect it. What kind of insurances should you have? They're not going to cover that at school. They might do some fractions. They might do some interest compounding in math class, but they're not going to be, how do I know how much I should be spending of how much I earn on housing and on my car and on entertainment and on insurance premiums and gasoline and things like that. So you're not really going to get that in a normal school program. Homeschoolers might have an advantage there because a lot of times parents are heavily involved, right, in that teaching. And so they're doing life and they can share some of that perspective. But most people learn it through just, experience, which it's a good teacher, but sometimes it's painful, hard knocks, right? It's like, oh, I won't do that again. And then some people are like, I don't want to do that again, but here I am. How do I do something different? And that's really the whole basis. That's how all of my curriculum was born, the online program that I have and the books that I've written, because there just wasn't something really good and practical and true. And I call it money truth, because it's true. It's how money really moves, how it really works, how you can really benefit from just half a dozen basic financial concepts. Just do those and run everything you're doing through that filter, and you'll avoid almost all of the mistakes that people make out there. So very simple to do. But back to your question, you should start now. You should do something now. If you're already doing some planning, great. If you're putting money into your 401k every paycheck, you have an IRA going, you've got some savings, a Ameritrade account or something like that, some stocks there. That's great. Keep going. Just do a little bit more, a little bit more. And then I think the other end of that is make sure you have the end in mind. When you're doing planning, plan for the end. So what do I want the outcome to be at the other end? Then you can kind of backfill it with, what do I need to do between now and there to be there on time and achieve my goals?
So I'm glad you talked about it, because I was going to bring that up too, because you always mention about the end in mind, right? So
Mhm.
we still have a lot of viewers that are, in their 40s, their 50s, and for some of them, because they haven't had that guidance towards finance, they don't know any better. A lot of them just seem to give up, right? So what would you say to some of these folks that are in their 40s and 50s, maybe even 60s, right? For them to start planning, is it too late? What should they be doing?
Yeah. I had some clients recently in their 70s that were referred in to me. And I've spoken about them before because it was such an awakening for me that you can go that far in life and still not know how to spend your money. They've been doing it for decades together. They've been married almost 50 years when I met them. And so how do you get a handle on spending plan if you've never had it modeled and you've never been successful at it? So we've got templates, how to do it step by step, how to do that. But this couple, that they were just always spending, always not having enough, feeling like there's a gap. And how come other people seem to be doing great? And not everybody is, by the way. But how come everybody seems to have a handle on this and we just can't get spending right? We can't get the allocation of the dollars that we're expensing out right. How do we do that? And that's what we worked on in their 70s. So it's never too late to learn and do better. Their big outcome, speaking of the outcome in mind, was to have all that debt gone and just be free and know that if they wanted to go out to dinner and have a glass of wine, they could, and not have to put it on a credit card and wonder how it would get paid. And that's how they lived all those years. Well, they don't now. They've got a great house. They've got a great life. They have a travel fund so they can send the grandkids out, for a visit or go to see them. And before, it was always such a stretch, and they had to give up holidays together and birthdays together and miss their soccer games because it was just like, we don't have it. Credit card bill's too high. We can't do it. And what a turnaround. And just, I mean, they look lighter. They just look radiant and the lights in their eyes again. And that's what they're grown kids, adult, almost retirement age children now, say about them. It's like they've never had that sense of freedom, that kind of joy, that peace of mind that they do now, just because they learned how to allocate their dollars and spend correctly. And they started paying themselves as an expense. You're paying everybody else in the world every month. You're paying this
Right.
bill and that bill. Why not pay yourself? Put it away and consider it expensed. And then you'll always have something, and it will grow quicker than you think.
Awesome, folks. And if you're just joining us, welcome to the show. Please make sure that you watch the beginning of the show as we are discussing, is it too late to start a financial plan? I think you're going to find some great opportunities to take some notes, some great advice from Judy as well too, which kind of leads me to where you've talked about it a little bit already, but share some additional tips for starting your financial roadmap or your planning.
Quick tip list. Yeah. The silver bullet, the pill.
Yeah,
You want the
the
pill.
all-in-one, right? Yeah,
The easy pill. Well, here's the
yeah,
thing. The list, all these things are very simple. They're not always easy because it's new habits and it's discipline, and it might go against what we've always done, right? So it's new. It's like when you try something new, it's like, ooh, it doesn't feel very good. So, setting those goals, proper goals, they have 4 parts. I talk all about it on some of the curriculum here. Make your spending plan, stick with it. Pardon me. Understand that it's a moving, breathing document. Right, it's going to adjust with life, but just stick with it. Every month, take a look at it and adjust as you need to. You want to make sure that you have that quick cash, that emergency fund, that rainy day account, where if the baseball goes through the windshield or the garbage disposal, breaks down, you don't have to put that on a credit card, because then it costs more. There's interest, right? So have an emergency fund. And I think, if you can build that up to maybe 3 months of your basic expenses, that'll give you some confidence. If you can sleep at night knowing, wow, for 3 months, everything I need is there, that'll give you money for those things that surprise you, flat tires, stuff like that. Make sure that you're contributing to your future. If you have a 403B or a 401k available at work, do something about that. Put even the minimum in. Start with something. And really, you won't even miss that money, because the paycheck shows up and it just like usually is dumped into your bank account. You won't even miss it, right? Think about your insurances. You want to play defensive as well as offensive. So think about, do I have the right insurances? Am I paying too much for too much coverage or the wrong kind of coverage? Might be worth looking at. And make sure that your debt service is handled. And this is one thing a lot of people are unaware of. If a big part of your spending plan, a big line item on your budget is what you're paying in interest on credit cards and consumer credit, auto payments and all of that, those are all negotiable. So you can call the credit card company if you're paying this 17, 18, 22%, whatever crazy rates. Just call and say, I can't do that. You need to lower my rate for me. You can always ask. And most of the time they'll work with you if they know they can get part of something or all of nothing. So
right.
call and get that line item down. I wouldn't say consolidate with a company, because you'll end up paying the company the difference, but call the credit cards directly. It takes a little time, little patience. Tell them your situation, and usually they'll work with you. So control your debt in the future, right? It doesn't help to pay off your credit cards and then fill them up again. Right. So just start to live within your means if this is a spending plan is your big financial issue. And then invest for your other goals. If you want to have a cabin in the woods, a villa at the beach, in your later years, if you want to have a travel fund to spend time with people that you care about or explore the world, plan for that and put some of that money away every month. So when it's time to achieve that goal, even if it's an ongoing goal, the money is sitting there and you don't have to figure out where it's going to come from. Those are some tips to help you with your planning, and they'll serve you well.
Yeah, folks, and I hope you are using a pen, paper. Make sure you write this stuff down, and you're going to need that pen and paper a little bit later on today too. So just to let you know. So you've given us hope, right? You've said that there really is no right or wrong age to start, as long as you start.
Now,
Yeah, and I appreciate all of these tips, because it really just sets your mind, moving forward with some potential opportunities which you thought were probably hopeless, right? So now that we talked about some of the positives on this, talk to us about some of the potential obstacles when we're starting out in financial planning.
Yeah, I think most people, they don't know where to start. So if that's you, I'm glad you're here because this is where to start. But I think for most people, that's the thing. I don't know where to start. It's overwhelming to me. Do I start by talking to my insurance guy or my 401k guy? Or, if I need to save, I can't even pay my bills. Where am I going to save from? And now it's time to invest. Where do I invest? I go online and there's 50 million options and they're all the best ones, right? If you ask them, how do I know how to invest? Should I be buying stock or cyber currency, or should I be in bonds or mutual funds, or should I just buy some real estate? Have a condo that I rent out? What do I do? And so that can be a little overwhelming and burdensome for some people. So that can be something to overcome. And it's just get somebody that knows, or learn yourself. And if you have the time to learn yourself and the interest and the sustainability of that interest, then do it. Take some classes, get a series 6 or a 63 or 7 license. You can do that in several months, and then you'll have mastery of the basics. Or you hire somebody who knows that, or grab a family member or a friend that really has mastered their money well. They're not just on the surface looking good, but they really manage well, or they're running a business well, and find out what they're doing. Most people that are successful are happy to talk to you about their path and share that with you. So for some people, they just don't have the knowledge, to know where to start. It might be they have so many dollars, but there's these competing priorities. It's like, I just need help prioritizing. I need money for the future, but I need money now. And then I get the kids want these things. And then we wanted to go to Disneyland, it's like, all this stuff. And in the car, we're going to need a new car in the next year or two. So, how do I prioritize where the dollars go? And that's just part of basic planning. You might need someone to help you with that. And again, if you have very clear goal setting, that will totally become clear. And then make that a priority, just kind of stick to what you say you want to do. And then Nike, right? Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of just doing it, get your pen and paper ready, folks. It's time for our challenge, right?
It is time. Pen
You
and
got this
paper.
today.
Pen and paper. There's something about, you see it, you think it, you write it down, it comes down through onto the paper from your pen. Something about that whole process makes it more real. So here's your challenge. The first thing is, as you're thinking about your planning, most people, when they look back, don't say, oh, I saved too much. I invested too much. I wish I hadn't sacrificed. I wish I hadn't done all that. They're kind of glad they did. Usually, if there's any kind of regret or comment like that, it's going to be, oh, I didn't do enough. I didn't start soon enough. So you can start today. You can do something today. So the first thing is writing down on paper, what can you do to improve your situation? What can you do? You know what it is. Now, you might not want to write it because it doesn't seem possible, or it's very hard, or maybe there's a little shame or guilt in it. But there's power in writing it down and just being honest with where you are, right? So what can I do to improve my current financial situation? Maybe it's get a new job or move. Maybe it's downsize, sell your house. Talk to somebody who does investments and just try to do that better. If you have a bunch of money sitting in savings, especially right now when interest rates are good, do something. Whether it's equities or interest, do something. So just kind of write down that, maybe 2 or 3 things more, if you can think of them off the top of your head. What can you do to improve your situation financially? And what area of planning will you get the most bang for your buck? Is it something about the growth part? I need to save more. I need to get a spending plan together. I need to invest better or more diversified, take some kind of a balanced approach more than I am now. Or do I need to do defensive? Maybe it's time to put a will in place, or think about some legacy planning. Who am I going to leave all this to? Is it a cause that I care about? Is there a tax friendly way to do that? Yes, there are lots of options there. So what area will you get the most gain from as you prepare your financial strategy moving forward? I think if you write those 2 things down, that'll give you a really great base to implement a plan for moving forward to get you where you want to go. So you can do this.
All right, folks, you heard the challenge, and we are at the end of our show. So please, if you're just joining us now, watch the beginning of the show, because bottom line is we asked the question, how is it ever too late to start financial planning? And Judy's one word answer is no.
Nope.
As simple as that. It's
That
as
could have
simple
been a
as that.
really short show. Is it too late? No. Start today. Done.
Start today. Exactly. So make sure that you are following Judy at judycopenbarger.today. Join us every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Replay on Thursdays at 8 p.m. as well, too. Judy, any last parting words?
Make it a great day. Start today. Start today. You've got this.
All right. Take care, folks.
Bye.